as I have been sharing some experiences of other devotees and sometimes myself, today we shall see one or two drops of that ocean of Leelas. If we are very attentive and alert, we could see that any Leela, any demonstration that took place in front of Bhagwan had a teaching lesson for us. This is what I learned. Once, when I had gone to Bhagwan with a friend of mine, Bhagwan came out and sat there on the step of the veranda near the wooden door. And we were also seated. Somebody had come with some chapathis and they gave them to Bhagwan. So Bhagwan took 2 chapathis and put them in his coconut shell and gave one to me and one to my friend. When he was about to eat, Saibaba, his dog, came and stood right in front of the house. It just wouldn't move, and it knew that Bhagwan was going to eat. Immediately, Bhagwan asked somebody to open the door, and then the Sai Baba in 2 jumps came near him and sat there like Nandi before Lord Shiva. Then Bhagwan began to throw pieces of the chapati to the dog. He also ate some, but most of his went to the dog. And after that, he suddenly got up and went inside. He closed the wooden door. So we were left ourselves with the chapati in hand, and the dog was also there, sitting. My friend started to throw pieces to the dog like Bhagwan did. But I started to eat it, because I thought, just as he threw pieces of bread to the dog, he had given me a chapati to eat, and it was my fortune that I got it at all, and then I started to eat. I finished the whole thing, whereas my friend very generously put pieces before the dog, and the dog was eating it very happily. She also took some. When it was all over, Bhagwan came and sat. There was absolutely no expression. Just before he came out, we had a discussion. I said, we have to eat. This has been given to us only for eating. She said, no, you just saw what Bhagwan did. We have to do like him. It is only to teach that lesson that he had. This is a demonstration for that. I said, no, just as he gave the chapati to the dog, he gave me also and you also. We have to eat it. It's Prasad, meant for us. So we were in the discussion, and then as soon as the wooden door opened and she came out and sat, he came out and sat there, we closed our mouth as though nothing had happened. Bhagavan also did not have any expression on his face. But soon, I began to doubt the wisdom of my decision. What if what she said was right? Then I have done something wrong. I have been very selfish. Without giving, without sharing my food with anyone, I had eaten it. I had grabbed it and eaten it. So I could be wrong. So which is right? What I did is right. And then I prayed and said, Bhagwan, please let me know if what I did is right or what she did is right. A few minutes later, the dog got up, shook itself, and then came and sat in my lap and went to sleep. I was always afraid of dogs. I never allowed them near me. It was not in our upbringing. So I was so scared when the dog came to me, and what was more, the dog, as though a friend of mine. He behaved like a friend of mine, and then he sat very comfortably, cozily, and went to sleep. I didn't know what to do, but Bhagwan was sitting there right in front of me. And all I could think of, it is my friend who was sitting next to me who threw those pieces of chapati. So the dog should be grateful to her. The dog should have chosen her to go to lie down and sleep on. But here the opposite has happened. What is this? And then it flashed that it must be Bhagavan's work, that he was indirectly letting me know that what I decided was right. But when the Guru gives you something, it is meant for you. It's a treatment. Like a doctor gives a certain medicine for a certain disease to a certain patient. The patient cannot share it with anyone else. It's meant for his disease. And that is how I took it. And I thought it was Bhagwan's way of saying, yes, you are right. And then again, I had doubts whether what I thought was correct, whether I had hit it upon right. And then I looked up. He raised his hand and blessed. Then I knew that it was in approval of what I decided. So I learned my lesson that day. The lesson was meant for me, the way it happened. Soon after that, Saibaba got up and then ran away. And again after some time it came and stood there, probably expecting more chapathis. Then Bhagwan looked at it and said, this beggar, you see, he gives food to this dog. It comes there and stands like that. And then this beggar calls him inside and gives food. And after that it runs away. Again it would come asking for food, and this beggar would give some food. And then it would be so happy, but it wouldn't stay. It would go away. This beggar wants his dog to stay with him, but it comes for food, and as soon as the food is given, happily it runs away. It doesn't stay put. Of course, at that time I thought he was referring to the dog all the time. And then after we took leave of him, this began to work. What he said began to work upon my mind. And then slowly, it took root in me that Bhagwan was referring to me, because the dog came and slept on my lap. And it was all very symbolic. And I thought Bhagwan wanted me to come to Tiruvannamalai and stay. And that is how the very thought of staying in Tiruvannamalai started. Until then I was very happy with my life. Everything was working for me very well by His grace. And there was absolutely no complaint. And I was actually beginning to enjoy life as it was. But after this reference, the thinking changed. The attitude changed. Once, when Bhagwan was there in the veranda when I had visited, some of us were seated there. A lady again brought a carrier of food, and Bhagwan called her near, and she placed that. Immediately Bhagwan opened it. In the top vessel, there was some vegetable, cooked vegetable. Immediately Bhagwan put his hand into it and took some in his hand. The lady had brought a leaf also, but he just ignored the whole thing. There is a step near the wooden door. Bhagwan used to sit on that. And that day Bhagwan was sitting on a mat. And the step was there near. Immediately he put the vegetable on the step, the bare step. There might have been a lot of dust there. I don't think anybody swept that place. So he just put it there. He started to eat. To the wonder of everybody, we were all watching it with wonder. Now, how could anybody eat food, put food on the stone and start eating? And he ate very comfortably. And then there was a rat, a small rat which came from inside, probably drawn by the smell of the food. It came, it just peeped in where we were sitting, and then ran away, frightened. And again, minutes later, again it was coming, would look at us and then run back. So this happens 6 or 7 times. Every time the rat came, it would advance a little more and then get frightened and would run back into the room. So this was a scene that we were enjoying there, sitting there, seeing Bhagwan eating on the one side and the rat coming and playing this game. And then what happened unexpectedly, this time when the rat came out, it had enough courage to go near the food. And then it started to eat from the other side. There were, I think, coconut pieces also. So it started to eat. What a scene it was. There was this vegetable there on the stone, and Bhagwan was eating it very comfortably from one side, and the rat was not at all frightened. It was eating from the other side. I had never seen a scene like this ever before. What a strange sight. And they were in perfect harmony. It looked as though 2 friends sitting in a restaurant eating across the table. I almost laughed, but of course for fear of Bhagwan I didn't. But the scene was very, very strange and curious. Then I understood that Bhagwan was one with the entire creation. No creature is away from his love. No creature is outside his love. The whole creation is he. His identity is such that he is one with the entire creation. So why wouldn't the rat feel that friendship with him? That harmony with him? It wasn't frightened at all. So this is how I learnt the few lessons. So such demonstrations always happened. Now this Bhagwan, who identified himself with the entire creation because of his communion with God, he is one with God. So he is none other than God himself. And he is here right in front of us in the form of his murti with his hand raised in benediction. There was just one more curious thing. When the rat was eating the food across, for a minute a thought came to me. I had heard that what the leftover of a rat was poison. And here I was thinking, my God, if Bhagwan should choose to give that portion where the rat was eating to me as Prasad, what would I do? Just for a second the thought came and left. And soon enough he called me and he took the little of that portion and dropped it into my hand as Prasad. Naturally, I was stunned. I didn't know what to do. But then I knew that it came from his hand. It was also his leftover, and therefore it was Prasad. And immediately I ate it. I ate it happily. The minute the thought took over, it was Prasad from Bhagwan. So only a God like him can change the attitude in a fraction of a second. That which seemed as poison to me changed into Prasad, so that I could eat it happily, with ease and peace. This is Bhagwan. He could change our attitude to life also if we let Him. Instead of clinging to our own ideas of life, our own idiosyncrasies, if we would let Him do the miracle of transformation in us, it would happen. Now this Bhagavan is right in front of us. We shall submit our prayers at His feet. Bhagavan, we pray to You intensely,